Knudsen?
Mr. Tursky.
This is Two Guys Talking Golf.
It is, man. It is another week. Glad you're back. I think you were out in the beautiful L.A. area, scoping out the
Pacific Palisades.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. I'm
more specifically
way out of line.
I'm so L.A. right now. I even got the Dodgers hat on.
I noticed that. Yeah, you got all of a sudden you're gonna be. I'm kind of surprised you don't have like the Lakers jersey on. You know, you had a little. Maybe you joined the Rams parade the other day. You know,
I mean, I'm fresh off apartment hunting in L.A.
Yeah, you're basically 90210.
Yeah. Mr. Beverly Hills.
That's right.
I did stay in Santa Monica.
Ooh.
You ever been to Santa Monica?
I have not.
Got a nice little view out there.
I have not. I went out to L.A. when you and I, years ago, went out to L.A. and we did all that stuff. We did a bunch of content out there years ago. Played the old Los Feliz or Feliz or whatever. I got dogged for pronouncing it wrong.
The old school fans know about that.
Yeah, it was a great time. But anyway, somebody, I can't remember who it was. Somebody at the office said we need to go there, and there was like some restaurant down there that was like the spot to be, and we never went because we were just lazy and we were playing golf, like par 3 courses.
Yeah, I mean it's probably closed now. I feel like COVID hit some of the restaurants,
pretty hard.
Bars out there a little bit hard.
Yeah.
But Riviera Country Club, my God, do I love that place.
It is a place that I definitely want to go. Like, I've heard so many people say just like it's absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. I mean, there's just everything about it just absolutely just amazing.
I will say the caddies, the players, like the equipment reps, especially the putter reps, and the media guys have it a little bit hard because there's a huge hill that the clubhouse sits on, and the putting green's at the top of the hill, and the range is at the bottom of the hill. And going back and forth up and down that hill like 14 times a day, it just wipes you out.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I was there at the American Express, and that one there was like a good walk between the trucks and the range. Like you had to go across the street, kind of around like the 18th hole. It was a decent walk, and that was a lot. So I can only imagine, let me tweak this putter for you. Let me go, pull this 2 degrees flat for you. Hold on 1 second. Then run all the way down. Run back up.
5,000 foot elevation change.
Oh, that's horrible.
But I will say, I think I rank Riviera possibly number 1.
Like number
on
1?
The PGA Tour courses, like,
really?
Of the season. Yeah.
So better than...
There's something special about that course.
Wow. That's a pretty hefty thing. So, I mean, it beats out Augusta. I mean, there's the question right there. Does it beat out Augusta?
Well, no, but that's not like part of the PGA Tour season, in my opinion.
Well, it's not an official PGA Tour event, but it is part of the season every year.
Let's reel it back real quick. I did not say Riviera is better than Augusta. Don't hot take me that quick.
That's straight going on social media right there. Andrew Tursky says Riviera makes Augusta National look like a dump.
Cut. Speaking of like super hot takes, I heard you had some hot takes on what Phil has said about Saudi.
Oh,
is that true?
It's not, but Phil has had some pretty hot takes on the what do they call it? What is it? I can't remember what do they call the league? The Saudi professional league. I can't remember what they call it. It's got a weird.
I don't
name.
think they have an official name. What I have heard, like this is all just rumor.
Oh yeah.
What I've heard is that once they get like 20 guys committed, that they're gonna go, and they're just gonna start playing like this summer. I don't know how many commits they had. It seems like everyone's coming out against it, siding with the PGA Tour. Tiger had a press conference. I did sit in on that. That was Wednesday. He did alongside Aaron Beverly, who got the Charlie Sifford sponsors exemption this week.
Yep.
It was pretty cool. Pretty cool to see Tiger. He was actually in really good spirits. He looked good. He was in good spirits, cracking some jokes. But he did basically speak on the PGA Tour Saudi situation, siding with the PGA Tour, it seemed like.
Yeah.
He kind of gave an update on where he's at. No surprise, he didn't announce when he's going to play.
No shocker.
But you see that look in his eyes, though. Like, when people are grilling him, asking questions, it's like you can tell he's itching to get back out there. He said basically if he can play in a cart, he's ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, he's ready to tee it up right now, but unfortunately,
that's not quite allowed.
He doesn't play in he doesn't play in a cart. You got to walk 6 rounds. Each round, you get more and more sore. So he's got to work back up to that. But he did say, he was like, I'm putting and chipping, and my short irons are really good. If Tiger's saying that, if Tiger's saying his short irons are good, like, as the best mid to short iron player of all time,
yikes. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, so many people thought, like, when he came out and he played the PNC, the father-son, so many people thought, like, well, Masters, like, he's going to come and, go out there, try to, like, play. I just don't. Early. Yeah, I just don't see him being able to walk that course, especially the first course out, and just be able to walk that thing, like you said, 6 rounds, whatever it is. I mean, granted, he's been there enough where he doesn't have to have like big practice rounds and learn the course, even though changes to 11 and 15. But I mean, still, the main part of the course is there, and I just that injury and all that, like, walking and he just can't do it. So I think we're still a little ways away. I'm excited for him to get back because the tournament he comes back to play, whatever it ends up being, is going to be like a rock concert insanity. Like, people are going to go absolutely nuts. And I'm excited for it. I can't wait.
He played in the PNC father-son. It was probably the highest rated golf event of the year.
Oh, yeah. Who didn't watch at least part of it? Who didn't at least watch an hour of it, through that whole weekend? Nobody. If you're a golfer.
Charlie was the show, but ultimately we tuned in for Tiger.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Everybody wanted to see if Tiger could hit a golf ball. And he actually hit it fairly well. I mean, let's be honest. He hit it fairly well.
I thought he played great.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of being able to walk the course, and he's not able to do that yet. So, and as much as you'd think maybe they'd make an exception for Tiger Woods to get a cart and get out there, it's not going to happen.
Nah.
It's just
he would never do that.
You don't think so? If they
much...
came to him and they said, hey, you know what? You can play. And it wouldn't be the Masters because they would never do that. But, like, if some other tournament came to him and said, hey, we'll let you use a cart. You can come out and play. And you don't think he'd do it?
No, when he refers to playing in a cart, he calls it weekend warrior golf. Like, he doesn't even consider it the same sport.
I mean, other players.
And I think he's on record as saying, like, if he ever gets to the point where he has to play in a cart, he just won't play.
Really?
I mean, I think he takes, like, the sport part of golf. Like, argue if you want whether golf's considered a sport, but he takes it very seriously like a sport, and I think that's part of the competition for him.
I'm always on the side that it's still a sport. I mean, especially if you've ever gone out and walked, like, I mean, go to Bandon Dunes and go play 36 in a day and tell me that's not a sport. It's brutal. I mean, what it takes.
I'm still getting over the wind burn.
Yeah, but I mean, the toll it takes on your legs and your body, and then still being able to swing and all that, it's definitely a sport. And a lot of the courses that these guys play, you don't realize. Again, I mean, the Masters, of course, everybody tells you the elevation's crazy, but there's so many other courses that there are a lot of hills and a lot of elevated greens and things like that you're walking up and down. Like I said, 6 rounds, and it's not like it gets easier. It's not like, oh, well, by Sunday I'm used to it, I'm good. It's tiring.
Mental and physical grind.
Yeah, for sure.
In my opinion.
100%.
I don't know how we got into whether golf is a sport argument, but being that this is a golf podcast, I'm pretty sure we're both pro sport on this side of the debate.
For sure.
But
even though I do enjoy taking a cart, don't get me wrong. I do enjoy taking a cart.
I'm a big cart guy too. I mean, like Tiger said, I am a weekend warrior. You get a couple, load the cart up with a couple pops, blast the speakers. Like, let's have some fun.
I'm all game with that. I do have to say though, I have gone the way of I have an electric cart, push cart, with a little remote.
Oh boy,
that Moto Caddy, and I'll tell you what, that thing is pretty fun.
All right,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Pull cart gang.
Dude,
Pull cart gang.
It's fun, man.
I support. Hey, whatever gets you out on the golf course, I'm supporting. Do you think the Saudi tour is gonna allow carts?
No, I don't think so. Well, here you go. Here's the thing. Since nobody knows anything about it, let's just say they could. Because what they would do is then brand the carts with some type of sponsor, whatever, and
that
people would
true.
roll around in just kind of like when they do with the match. Like they've got branded logos and stuff like that. So I don't think it will. This is like, a very slim possibility, but I wouldn't say 100% no, because there's profit to be had there. And from the
That's
person
just
they're
more
talking
marketing
about.
space.
Yeah, from the profit they're talking about, maybe it's, adds a little to the purse.
Knudsen, you're absolutely right.
All
right, so we do have a bunch of equipment topics, as you know from our pre-production meeting. We have a lot of equipment
7
to talk
seconds
about.
long.
For the listeners, yeah, I just wrote down a bunch of different gear topics from the week.
Love it.
I asked Knudsen if he wanted to know in advance. He said, "Let's do it on the fly."
Let's go.
So you're getting fresh hot takes.
I love it.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. I'll say the topic. You give your initial thoughts.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
All right, we'll rewind it back by 1 week. Scotty Scheffler.
Love him.
He has been using that the Super Rat basically his whole career.
Yep.
The putter. So he goes to the studio in December with his old Timeless Scotty Cameron that he was messing around with in the garage. He goes to the studio. He's like, I need a new look. I like this putter in the garage, but it's my garage putter. Like, he's got lead tape. He's got he's got lead tape all over it, kind of a custom job, but the head looks a little bit different, So he takes it to the studio. They make him a putter. Obviously, the putter doesn't get delivered right away, so he plays in competition the next couple weeks with the old Timeless.
Yep.
The week of Waste Management, he gets the putter, throws it right into play, and he wins.
Yeah.
His first ever PGA Tour event.
Huge.
Knudsen, what do you think about last-minute putter switches?
I think it actually, personally, I think it's awesome. I think with any club, especially a putter, and the other one is I think a lot is a driver, is just like that honeymoon phase. That, like he said, it's a little different look. So when he goes to set that putter down, when he goes to set it down, the alignment's slightly different. The the visuals of it are slightly different. And whatever maybe, changes the routine just a touch, whether it slows you down a second just because you're looking at a new alignment and new head shape and all that, anything that just kind of slows you down, you're probably going to putt pretty well with it for that first, say, week. I mean, how many times do you walk into a shop, you grab some putter that you've never putted with off the rack, and you drain like 5 in a row? Right there.
Never happened.
Because you never change putters. Or you go out with a brand new, you go out with a brand new driver and the front nine, you just absolutely just pummel the thing and just hit it dead straight. You hit every fairway, all that stuff. And there is kind of that honeymoon phase with a club, and whether it's just slightly different weighting, slightly different alignment, look, whatever, there's something about it that just changes your focus just a hair. So honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's I think it's something that could definitely happen to anybody. And I think there's a lot of people out there who would probably find really good success throwing a putter without trying it, other than, getting it that day, hit a couple putts on the practice green, into play, and shoot really well with it.
I got a follow-up question. Quick follow-up question. Do you mind?
Okay. Sure. Mr. Tursky, front row.
What do you do, or how do you tell when the honeymoon phase is over? Like, he goes out and wins. Maybe he putts pretty well the second week, and then he just runs into cold putting, knock on wood for Scotty.
Yeah.
But his putter just goes super cold for like 2 months. But this is the putter he got his first win with. Like, how do you know when the right time is to change it out or make a tweak or make a grip change? You know, speaking to someone who likes to change equipment often, how do you decide when that cutoff point is?
I think it's a frustration level. I think it's when you get to a point, and with a guy like him, he probably knows, like, hey, here's my tendency, here's whatever, you know, I miss left or whatever. Like, he has a tendency of, he knows what the problem is. And I think with, like, an amateur like myself or someone else, I mean, it's a frustration level to the point where, like, okay, like, you've missed a couple putts that should be, you know, easy makes or simple putts, whatever. Once you get to that point where you're just stupid frustrated with it, it's time to go. And usually the downside is that's like the fifth hole, so you got to ride out the rest of the round with that thing. But then it's time to go. Put something else in the bag. Like I said, maybe change the grip, do whatever. Just change up something and see if you can kind of rekindle the magic. But I think a guy like Scheffler, I mean, you're going to go out and you say, you know, the reason I'm changing is because, you know, hey, this is how I'm missing it or whatever. If that starts creeping back in, hey, then maybe it's time to look back to the old faithful.
Speaking of putter fitting, I have a little tease. Just a tease. I can't give the full story, but I was at Ping HQ today, did a little PLD putter fitting. I'm not going to give away, like, what I got fit into and all that, but let's just say there's no alignment lines on it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess, going off maybe an older putter you might have, that there might be a dot on the top. Maybe just a little dot, a little guy.
No comment.
Something like that.
No comment.
But I do have to say the PLD stuff looks phenomenal. I actually was the one who I help out every once in a while, do a little what's in the bag on the front page, and I put a couple of those together each week when I have a few extra moments.
Okay.
And I did Mr. Finau's bag this week. And
Mr. Finau, a lot of respect there.
And yeah,
pretty sure he's like 10 years younger than you. I don't think you have to call him Mister.
Minimum. But he had a very, very good looking PLD in the bag, a little wider flange, kind of like an Answer 2 style, a little more squared off, but wider flange. He's into kind of that wider putter look, but really, really sharp. The tri-sole on it, I mean, everything about it just looked really, really good. And I think they're those putters that people, I mean, I think everybody wish they could get their hands on them because they're just really nice looking putters. So give me just a little bit, because I know you don't want to, tease the whole or give away the whole thing. How good do they feel?
They feel really good. That's all I can say. No, but while I was there, I did do like a little deep dive into Finau's putter build, how he got that in the bag, and Victor's putter build, how he got that in the bag. Yeah. Just got the whole experience, you know. I worked with the same fitter that those two boys work with and all the tour guys. Really cool experience. We'll talk way more about it when the time is right.
And the last thing I'll ask on it, just because, again, I mean, because I don't even want to get, like, I don't want to ruin it because I want to read it and see what it, but in terms of level of customization from 1 to 10, what would that number be?
For my putter?
Well, just anybody, like you or like I was to walk in there, like the level of customization you can go with. Is it like, I mean, I know it's not one. It's not just like, hey, change your paint fill. There's a little more to that.
I don't think you can really get like more customization.
Yeah.
On like the current market, I guess. Unless like they literally give me a sketch pad and I'm allowed to like blueprint my own putter. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like that's a 10. Like that's a 10. Like they hand you like a cocktail napkin and a pen and they're just like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, and it goes right from the cocktail napkin to like a 3D print.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So more on that comment. The more I talk about it, the more I want to like give it all away. So let's just go on to the next subject, okay?
I think the real question about that subject, like the real thing that's going to come from this is, does it knock the Trillium out of play? That'll be
it's already out. Like once it gets delivered, I mean the numbers are the numbers. Like at the end of the day,
wow,
I know when something's significantly better, and when you pit it like directly against something. Listen, we're not talking about this anymore, okay? All right.
Wow.
I'm gonna end up
amazed.
like sharing like all my specs right now because I am fired up. Like I basically just got back from it, so.
Wow. I never thought I'd see the day. I mean, like we always knew the SLDRC was going away at some point. And that okay, that's going away. Something will beat it. But the Santa Fe, I thought was going to be, that was going to pry out of your cold dead hands.
Let's just say it has a similar finish. Okay, so moving out of the tease topic, let's get into some things we can actually talk about. Have you seen the Parker McLaughlin Voki wedges, like the flighted lines on the wedges?
I have. I don't. Yeah, I have the ones basically when you set it down. It's pretty subtle. Where you can kind of like open the face, square the face, shut the face a little bit. It's a pretty ingenious idea. At least it looks to be.
So Parker, former PGA Tour winner, and he's called the Short Game Chef on Instagram.
Love it.
He teamed up with Voki. He's been working with, professional golfers for a while. Basically, reel off a couple names. He's probably worked with them. He knows his stuff when it comes to wedges. Let's put it that way.
All right.
So he noticed, most pros, they either use a square face, a slightly open face, or a flop face. Now, to make things easier, to kind of give some structure and consistency to these face angles, he's put in 3 different angled lines on the wedges. One at, let's call it, 90 degrees, one at 75, one at 60, something like that.
Yeah.
So basically, when you're hitting a straight face shot, you want the one line to be straight up and down. Then if you want to open the wedge a little bit, you want the second line to be straight up and down. And for a full flop shot, you want the third line straight up and down. It's like supposed to really simplify 3 different face angles so you can get some consistency of flight.
Yeah.
Now, I was talking to Aaron Dill about it. He's the Voki wedge rep out on tour. And I was like, what's the likelihood of some of the PGA Tour players throwing it in? He's like, they're interested. So a couple of the guys are experimenting right now. Possibly some will be using it as like sort of a training aid type deal. Maybe they'll have it on their backup wedge, but some people have it on their gamer wedge. And basically Parker teamed up with Voki, so this is an option within WedgeWorks. Like if you want to add these lines onto your wedges, I think it's a pretty good idea.
I'm a huge fan too because, like you said, I mean the key word there is consistency, and at the pro level it's huge, but I think even at the amateur level it's a big deal too because everybody wants to play, or has spots where they need to play that open face shot, whether you need to hit a little higher, we need to add some spin, whatever the reason is, and yeah, for us we don't practice like the pros do, like we don't have that type of hand control and all that, so when we open the face, like we could be opening it. Like you said, whatever the degrees, we could open it 60 degrees, we could open it 40, we have no clue, in a sense,
no
how
idea.
far we've opened that face.
And I've never really even thought about it. It's just like pure feel. And I'm not basing it off of anything. I have, there's no like square one to go back to. It's just, I might open it a little bit here on this shot.
Yeah. And then to have any, like you said, any shot of like knowing how high and how far that shot's going to go and with how much spin, without being able to reference how far it's open, is definitely really difficult. So to add that on there, I almost think you should just. I mean, granted, there's going to be some people who are going to say, "Well, I don't want to see these 3 little lines on the hosel." And from the images I saw, they're not like distracting or anything. I mean, they're barely kind of there. I think you just put it on the wedge and just call it, and just add it on to SM9, 0.5, and just call it.
I know. There's almost like no reason to not put it on.
Like, I really want to try it because, like, I'm a guy. I don't open the face a ton. I mean, mostly in the trap, stuff like that. But there's some shots that you get to around the course where you're short-sighted, whatever, that you do. You have to open the face. You got to try to get a little spin on the ball, try to get a stop in a tight area. And I think that, for me, would definitely be beneficial, for sure.
So that was my transition. That was my transition into. I got 3 different wedge topics here. We went right from putters to wedges. That was the transition.
I love it. You're good at this podcast thing.
All right, so Riviera. Fun fact, they have kakuya grass. Another fun fact, kakuya is not the easiest to chip and pitch on.
Okay.
It gets a little grabby. So this week, again, I was talking to Aaron Dill, the go-to guy for the wedge info out there. Guys are changing it up, but like in different directions. So some guys, to deal with the kakuya grass, they're going with higher bounce. For example,
Okay.
Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas went to a K grind this week. Doesn't normally play the K grind, but he's going to the K grind this week. The Riviera special.
The Rivieras.
Other guys, to avoid the wedge kind of getting caught, they're actually taking away bounce, kind of sharpening up that leading edge.
Yep.
And they're just letting it rock right through the grass. Just let it rip. Huge divots coming this week.
That's a dangerous game to play.
I know. I don't think that's the way I would handle the situation. I think I would be more of the K grind, higher bounce, and let's try to get this thing airborne instead of just digging the wedge in the ground like you could whiff. But the grass it's weird. It's kakuya. It's weird. It's spongy. It's like just if you miss-hit it, it's gonna let you know. So guys are making adjustments, and not that Aaron Dill's job needed to get any harder. Like everyone's switching into SM9, so he just has build after build after build. And now the guys that are even set with their wedges, they're like, well, I need more bounce. I need less bounce.
I'm with you. I'd go more bounce, man. I can't. I mean, I play high bounce wedges anyway, so that part of it is I've already played like in Voki. I love the D grind and all that, but yeah, I mean, sharpen that leading edge and just saying heck with it. We're gonna cut some sod out of this green. I just can't do it because I mean, if you're slightly off, it's game over. Like that wedge shot is toast. At least a little bad at bounce, you maybe get away with hitting something. Get away with hitting something, maybe just a hair fat or whatever, and still get away with it. Sharpening that leading edge, man, that is a tough boy right there, at least for me. But
danger zone. I don't practice nearly enough to have a low bounce, sharp leading edge wedge. No thanks.
I'm good. I actually have a set in my kind of arsenal of what are they, Ippon Tour wedges, and like those are like razor sharp. Those leading edges, and I took them out. Where did I take them? I think it was Arizona when I went and played out there, and it was because I expected it to be super firm and fast, and it wasn't. But those things, man, if you miss, good night. Good night. That ball's going nowhere.
Okay, so wedge topic number 2.
All right.
Aaron Beverly's wedges. Have you seen these things?
I want to say I did because I think I did his What's in the Bag as well.
So he's got 2 holes on either side of his wedges.
Oh, you thought you could sneak it by?
Spoiled it for me.
Bro.
Dang it. I'm talking to a club building specialist. I'm sorry. That was dumb of me. Okay, so you already do you want to set the topic up then?
So if I'm right, which I've actually ported a few wedges in my day, not probably correctly because it was literally just an idiot with a drill and just drilling holes and stuff. But I think the idea is to basically alter the CG. You're going to take some mass away from drilling it basically either low or high in the face, and you can alter the CG a little bit with where you drill the holes.
Okay, so that's possible.
Okay.
But that's not why.
Okay.
I thought maybe it was a CG thing too, like maybe trying to get weight up in the head or center it in some way. But they're both like equidistant on the heel and the toe, and it was purely a swing weight thing. So he likes his wedges. Yeah, he likes his wedges half inch up, but he likes a standard swing weight, like around D3, like D3 to D5. Aaron was saying. So he literally just ported them out heel and toe, and I was like, "What are the 2 reasons?" He was like, 1, swing weight; 2, because it looks good. He was like, basically, it looks cool, and he was like, I had to go all the way out onto like the edges near the perimeter, so I didn't disturb the Bob Voki wings. The back cavity. He's like, you gotta pay respect to the man. I was like, that's real. That's real.
That is legit. That's actually. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I actually knew a guy who did something similar and it wasn't with Voki's. I don't remember what it was. It might not have been Voki, but there was a wedge. Same thing. He played them just a little bit over length, and he didn't like how heavy that they got. You know, when you built them up to, you know, like you said, a quarter inch over, half inch over, whatever, because the swing weight turns into like, you know, some crazy like D9 or something. And he did the same thing. He poured it out. He didn't really have as much concern for the logos of whatever wedges he had.
He just let it rip right there in the back.
He just said screw it. But I have heard of people doing that. I actually, back in the day, did you ever remember seeing? Well, remember Adams used to drill out holes and then stick like brass slugs and stuff like that. And there was somebody in wedges who used to like pour them out and then fill them with like tungsten. Well,
I mean, that's like a Mike Taylor special.
Yeah. So
I mean, he used to do that.
I took an old wedge back in the day, poured it out in 3 spots, and then I poured lead, melted down lead, and poured it into the holes, and then like sanded it down so it like looked all finished.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is so cool. Went through all the work. It added like half a swing weight point. it added like 1 gram of weight to it, and all the work. It took forever, and I added like 1 gram.
You need to get those tungsten plugs, man.
Well, yeah, I don't quite have access to tungsten plugs, but I was so bummed out that my porting adventure did all that work for ended up being nothing.
So I was doing a little tour of Ping today while I was there, just, you know, back in the shop, seeing where it all goes down.
Why not?
And they had a block of stainless, like an unmilled block. You know what I mean? Like if you're milling out a putter from a block, it was just the raw block, stainless. I picked that up. Then they had a raw block, same size, of tungsten, and this thing is so heavy. Like, tungsten's really, really heavy.
Oh yeah.
They were saying it's one of the heaviest elements, so it's like it's just the perfect material to use within a club head. But getting back on topic, you know, when you add length, that's a serious issue for someone who's a club builder like yourself, who's kind of just out in the garage doing it. Like, if you add length, you got to make sure you make some sort of adjustment to swing weight.
Yeah.
Or else it's going to completely change. Obviously, length is going to change the feel of the club regardless, but, like, you're playing a lot with the weight, and you got to make sure you go back and make the proper adjustments there.
And length messes with swing weight really quick.
Yeah.
I want to say it's like a half inch is like 3, maybe slightly more swing weight points. So, I mean, a half inch, which you think is like nothing off the end of a club, I mean, that's 3 swing weight points, a lot. And then if you're like, you know, you're taking a driver and you're going down, say, an inch, you know, you want to play, you know, some of the new drivers are, 45 3/4, and you want to take it down to 40, 44 3/4. That's 6 swing weight points. That's about 12 grams of weight in the head that you have to replace to get it back to normal, which is a decent amount. I mean, that's a lot of lead tape chronicle right there.
I love how fired up you get about any club building topic. What's your situation there these days? Are you messing around with a bunch of clubs in the shop?
Right now, it's more just hitting stuff to test it for my other podcast. I mean, that's really all it is. Once I get a little deeper into the season and I start like really narrowing some things down and throwing some things out that just, hey, this isn't working, then it starts getting into like, let's start really pulling some shafts and reshafting some stuff and really trying it. But the wedge game, I've kind of realized, like, I used to be that guy who would grind stuff and do something, you know, whatever. And then I've realized, like, I'm miles, light years away from Aaron Dill or Bob Voki. Like, why am I messing with these grinds that these guys have spent years perfecting on tour? Why am I messing with it? Because I don't know a fraction of what they know. So now I've been less of that. I've been, you know, less messing with that stuff. But it'll kick into swing a little bit more in the spring.
You know what they say, if you don't do something that well, just give up.
Just give up. I think that's what Aaron Dill did. Didn't he say, like, how he got into it? He just basically was like, wow, this is tough, and just gave up.
Yeah, when Aaron Dill started grinding wedges for the first time, it was just all perfect, and he's never messed up a wedge the rest of his whole life. No, I mean, you do learn through trial and error. Obviously, I joke.
Yeah. I trust me, like, hearing, like, Aaron Dill's story, I think, when he said, like, how did he learn how to grind, and he literally would take boxes of heads home and just grind them, or take them to the grinder and just practice. I was like, dude, that's awesome. Like, I wish I had a box of wedge heads just to practice, because that's so cool.
he just kept grinding, as you would say.
Oh,
Bang.
Grind it away.
Pun number one. All right, so last wedge topic, just kind of looking forward to next week and the Florida swing. Obviously, Bermuda grass.
Yeah.
Us golfers, I mean, I know for me, when I hear the word Bermuda, I'm just like, oh no. I'm bringing the putter out anytime I miss the green. Because chipping on Bermuda is just really tough. And even for pros, they struggle. They need a little added bounce, a little more forgiveness. So a lot of those guys, if they're not changing bounce this week, you know, they might be up in that bounce number going into the Florida swing, dealing with the Bermuda grass. And I was asking Aaron, like, you know, what he would suggest for amateurs who want to play on Bermuda. Obviously, get the right wedge for the conditions that you're playing in, but also maybe keep that lob wedge in the bag and bring out the sand wedge. Yeah, he said sand wedge is going to be, you know, way easier around the greens. Like, are you giving up a little bit of loft? Like, yeah, a touch. But if you chunk it or skull it anyway, like, that's not helping you. Just bring out the sand wedge. If the ball goes 4 feet past your target, that's okay. You're going to make the adjustment somewhere along the line. But go for the sand wedge more than the lob wedge, which I think is actually good advice anyway. I've talked to Roger Cleveland on a couple different occasions, kind of just asking him, you know, what do amateurs get wrong? What do people get right on tour? That type of stuff. And he basically said there's no reason you should ever have over a 56 or a 58 in your bag. You know? Yeah. And that's straight from a guy who sells 60-degree wedges. You know what I mean? Like, they're a specialized club. They should be treated as a specialized club. Really, your go-to should be the sand wedge. Now, am I a hypocrite? Possibly. Oh. Like, I'm grabbing the 60 no matter what, like when I'm chipping. But would it be probably smart for me to start practicing with a sand wedge and implementing that more into my game? Maybe I'd have less of the yips. You know, like, we all got to kind of tuck the pride a little bit. I'm not Phil hitting like low flop spinners that spin right on command. Like, I just don't have that feel, touch, and skill anymore. Like, I don't work on it enough. If you kind of want to take a little shortcut, just club selection's probably the easiest one.
I agree. I mean, I've actually had the pleasure of speaking to Roger Cleveland years ago about that same topic, and he hasn't changed since. He was just like, he's like, I don't understand. He's like, there's very, very few amateurs out there who practice enough. And this is, I think, right when, like, the 64 started getting big, because Phil put one in. It was, like, early 2000s, and, you know, Phil had the 64. Callaway just made one. I think Titleist had one, but there weren't a ton of them out. But people were coming in and asking him about, like, the 64, and, you know, should I get one? And he was like, you don't practice enough to be consistent with a 64, let alone a 60. And he said the same thing. He said the highest you should have in your bag is probably a sand wedge at like 56, because, like you said, it is a specialized club. And I think even more skilled amateurs run into the problem of it's really easy to take a 60, get under it, hit it high on the face, and leave it short, and it's still in the rough. Like, that's an easy shot to hit. And the same thing with, you know, anything high lofted. And unless you're able to really hone your craft with that club, like, I'm the same way as you. I have a 60 in my bag. I actually don't use it as much as I used to, but I still pull it out, you know, for the shots I need it for. And if you looked at my percentage of successful shots pulled off with my 60 compared to my 56, I mean, the 56 is, I mean, it's totally better. I mean, the shots I try to pull off there, which aren't the same shots, but, you know, I find way more success with the 56. And that's part of the reason why I went to the sand wedge style pitching wedge, which Dylan Fratelli blew out of the water. But I was chipping with that and using that around the green more. And again, finding that I was a little more consistent, hitting, you know, little pitch shots and stuff like that into the green with that, instead of, you know, trying to hit a 60 high and fly it there.
I mean, it's also like a deeper conversation just about course management in general. Like, should I be ever trying to shape a 3-iron out of the rough below the trees, like hitting the sidewinder up, carry a bunker? Like, you know, you should just play within your means and basically lay up, like, way more than you do, and you're going to cut so many strokes off your game. But I get it. It's not as fun. People want to play hero ball just in case they hit that shot. But, throwing like your lowest number of the season out, like that's just as fun as hitting like 3 good shots in a round, but not even breaking 90, and then like you don't feel good about it, but you're like bragging about the 2 shots. It's like, well, why don't we just put like a really nice number on there, and, like have like no mistakes throughout the round. Play to the fat of the green, play away from short-sided, off the tee, see where the trouble is, lay back to the fat part of the fairway. Like these are all things I think inherently we know, but like when we get out on the course, we get all fired up. Adrenaline starts pumping. We're like, yeah, we could hit it 265 with a high draw over water. Like, yeah, of course I can stop it by that front flag stick that's tucked left behind the bunker.
Yeah, who can't?
I mean, we're dumb. We're all dumb.
Well, it's partly because the pros make it look too easy, because guys pull off that shot all the time. And again, they don't always pull it off, but the TV shows that they pull it off all the time. So you go,
right.
That guy pulls it off every time. I can pull it off 1 in 5.
There's 156 players in every field typically, and what you see on TV is a highlight reel for the most part. Unless it's a big name where they show like most of their shots, but they're not going to show like, Hudson Swafford from 215 missed the green.
No.
Like, why would they show that shot? You're getting edited footage. You're not getting raw footage of everyone's round.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, exactly. Like, why show that shot there when you can go show whatever, Jimmy Walker knocking it to 3 inches from, 150 out. I mean, that's a much more exciting shot to see.
What would be the best channel, like, if it was like the Ocho version of golf? It's just like the low light reel, just like the worst shots of the day. Yeah. And they zoom in on all the players' face, like for their first reaction of every like bad shot, and have them mic'd up for it.
Hey, listen, if Tyrell Hatton's in it, I'm game. I'm watching, because
there's a lot of fines going down on the Ocho.
Oh my God, yeah. But if Hatton's out there, I'm watching, because that guy says some amazing things.
Oh, and with Aaron Beverly's wedge, I just looked at my notes real quick. Sorry to jump back a topic. He did have jet black, 52, 56, and then he goes Tour Chrome with the 60. Pretty unique. I like that.
It looks like the media samples. It's kind of what shows. You get one of each.
Yeah. Looks like the press release. All right, so moving on to a possible rumor.
Rumor.
Okay, So here's the question. Is DJ switching iron shafts? The answer for this week so far is no. But there's a little rumor going around, and he may have been doing some testing with some LAGP graphite shafts in the irons.
I was just about to say, if he's going to change, which he probably will at some point, it's going to be some LA Golf prototypes, for sure. I mean, he's a huge part of that brand. I mean, there's the rumors, whatever, that he's, invested in it or owns a piece or whatever. And I don't know if that part is true or not or what, but he seems to have taken a lot of interest in putting a lot of their products in play. And, the old famous Fujikura Speeder 2.0 that was in his driver for, a decade, whatever it was. I mean, forever. That finally was knocked out. I mean, he went to Ventus for a little bit, and then went to LA Golf. And, going into the putter, LA Golf, I mean, all that stuff. I mean, I'm not shocked at all to see that. And I think if it doesn't happen this year, it'll be next year that he'll have almost a full bag of, like, LA Golf stuff in that thing. Because they're custom making them. I mean, they're custom making them for him. Whatever specs he wants, and they're building it. So it's not like he has to sit there and look at their lineup and go, this will kind of fit. Like, no, they're building him custom stuff that fits what he wants.
Yeah, whatever his relationship he has going on with LAGP, here nor there, really. I think the topic is that a guy like DJ is considering switching into a graphite kind of new age product, getting out of that old school X100 steel. I mean, he hasn't yet, but even the fact that a guy like that's considering it, I think for the general golf population, I think it's really time where if you've played steel your whole life, it's like time to start thinking about multi-material iron shafts. There's a lot of companies that are making different ones, a lot of pros that are switching, a lot of pros that are saying they're switching because there's more consistency and stability.
Yep.
And I think it's just time to, broaden your horizons, open your mind, and if you're listening to this show, you're probably at least a little bit into equipment, and I think a huge part of being a gearhead is experimenting with everything that's available and figuring out what works for you. Not just because Dustin's doing it or whoever. I mean, whoever we talk about on the show, don't just try what they try. Try everything. Figure out what you like. I mean, that's the part of, customizing your own bag that's so fun.
And the big thing with graphite, too, is the stability, all that, which for a long time people were always dogging graphite, especially graphite iron shafts of, well, not as consistent. They're not as, as accurate, and, they just, they're loose or whatever compared to steel. One, that's not the case anymore, like you just said. And two, the fact that with graphite, you can make anything you want. You want lightweight and super stiff? Done. Mm-hmm. You want super heavy, and you know what? They're steel, you're stuck with. If you want something to play low launch, low spin, whatever, it's probably going to be a little heavier. It's probably going to be a little more stiff. There's going to be more material. Where graphite, that's not the case. You can make a 95 gram or 85 gram or whatever weight shaft play however you want it. If you want it, low launch, low spin, crazy stiff, boardy, done. If you want it to play soft, whatever, done. It's almost endless of what you can make with graphite compared to steel. And you're right. I think you're going to see many, many more pros make the change. Whether it's this year or 5 years from now, you're going to see a lot of change.
Speaking of graphite shafted irons, my transition game today is working.
Stellar.
Speaking of graphite shafted irons, Rory McIlroy. So he's switched into many of the Stealth products, top end of the bag.
Yep.
Last couple years, he was playing that SimMax Rescue, which I think we've all seen the face by now, super worn directly in the center. It looks like, I don't know if it's just for this week or whether this is a change that he's making because, he's got different yardage gaps in the bag. But P793 iron with a Ventus Black HB 10 TX.
That is a hefty boy right there.
I am not getting that thing airborne. I'm teeing that up like a driver.
I've actually had the pleasure of hitting that shaft in a hybrid, and yes, you are right. That thing is unbelievably stout, and it is very low launch, very low spin, and it takes a whole lot of swing to get the most out of that shaft. So it is a stout shaft, and I had no business hitting it, but I at least took a few swings just to say that I did. But that thing is, and especially in a low launching iron like that, is pretty wild. But Rory he's extremely high ball hitter. He always has been. He plays Project X 7.0s in his irons and all that. So it doesn't match up that far off from what he plays. And like I said, the guy hits it sky high. So having a little bit of control and lower spin is pretty wild. But that is a monster setup.
Every now and then when I'm inside the ropes and I'm grinding away trying to get gear content, talking to him, looking at his bag, blah, 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 I try to take a step back at least 5 minutes every tournament and just kind of appreciate things. And this week I did it by watching Rory just hit balls.
Oh.
I just kind of stopped what I was doing, what I was thinking about, and I just watched him hit balls. And man, he hits the ball so high. And I know he plays a draw, but this thing barely moves. It's just to the stratosphere, and it just doesn't move from his target really. And he just twirls the club, and you just look at it. It's like that's poetry.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
The sound, everything that goes with it, it's just amazing. And to think that he hasn't won the Masters, being able to hit it that high and control it that well is kind of amazing. And we've all seen what's happened there before. But the guy can hit it to any. Yeah, the guy can hit it to any tight pin. But he does. He just launched it through the roof, and it's just even on TV, I could sit there and just watch it in replay. And like you said, when you're there in person, and you see it. It's just as good, if not better.
Just a different sound. The ball comes off at a different launch window. You walk down the range. Here's this guy. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus because, you know,
but
they don't hit it as good as Rory. But
no.
Yeah, you just walk down, you hear that sound, you see that ball. It's like kind of all starts blending together because tour players just kind of hit it on a string and they hit it really well. And then you get a guy like Rory who steps out on the range and is just like, whoa, that's different.
Yeah.
And he's just different.
Agree.
And like you said, the fact he hasn't won the Masters, it shows you how hard it is to win the Masters. Like, by this point
100%.
in his career, we all thought Rory would have like 3 green jackets. But that's just not how golf works. It's harder than that. Plus, you have to putt.
Definitely is.
Unfortunately for Rory, you got to putt at the end of the day.
Yeah, that is true. And he is, and his putting has not always been A+.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up. I got 3 quick little topics, putter topics. Did you see the Charles Schwartzel Wilson putter?
Yes. Well, first of all, did you see what putter it was?
I know.
Catalina oil can, which I think I commented on our own TG2 Instagram post when you posted it.
You did.
I logged into the account and then commented about the fact that I would love to game that putter because
that's on your list of Scotties. I know.
It's just a really good head, and the one thing I do like about that one is I love the Catalina 2. I love almost everything about it. The triple sight lines on the flange, okay. That one looks a little shorter, heel to toe, and has the single sight line. And that thing is just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
So check out pictures of this putter. It's on our Instagram. We're at TG2WRX. There's a plug for the Instagram. That's a free ad since it's our Instagram. That wasn't an ad. But yeah, go check out that putter. So I call it a Wilson putter, even though it's a Scotty Catalina. Beautiful putter, by the way. Absolutely beautiful. Excellent. I call it a Wilson putter because he has lead tape. He has lead tape in the back cavity, but it's not like normal lead tape. It's like the Wilson tennis lead tape.
Yes,
he was just doing some. He was doing some putter testing on the green, and he's obviously trying to change the weight up a little bit. He's putting against a Ping Voss. And he wanted to add a little weight to the Scotty, and I see him put the lead tape on. And I look at the putter. I'm like, Wilson? I'm like, what is this putter he's got over there? I was like, what's he got? And it's upside down, like the Wilson logo is upside down. But yeah, he put on tennis tape instead of just like the gray golf tape. It's so funny. I mean, I had never seen that before. I'm going to be honest with you.
I knew that lead tape existed because I worked at a place that was. We sold tennis and golf stuff, so I saw the tennis lead tape, compared to the golf lead tape. So I knew that stuff existed, and that's the first thing I thought when I saw it. I was like, "That's off a tennis racket, like that legit off a tennis racket."
So funny.
And, was he in like? I mean, I wonder. Like, maybe he plays tennis. Like, maybe he was just like, "Yo, I got some lead tape for my tennis racket. Hey, I'm messing with these putters. I need a little piece of lead tape. What do I got? Oh, here you go," and just slapped it on, and he just didn't care. Like, whatever, man. Like, I'm just rolling with it.
Well, you know who doesn't play much tennis is me. And I've certainly never added lead tape to any rackets. I definitely still have, the Andre Agassi retail racket that they sold in, Walmart back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Is it I think I did, a week at tennis camp at some point. Like, I can hit the ball, but I'm not making any lead tape adjustments. Let's put it that way. So that was my first foray into Wilson lead tape. It was just really funny because I was looking at this putter, I wasn't up close on it, so I couldn't really see. And I was like, "Is that a Wilson logo? What do you got there, Charles? Why is the logo upside down?" Get closer. It's lead tape on a beautiful putter, by the way.
Awesome. Yep.
And just two other quick notes on putters, and that's gonna wrap it up here. The Spider GT, we got in-hand photos of Sergio's red version with the plumber's neck.
Yep.
Okay. So if you want to check those out, head over to golfwrx.com /forums/torn pre-release. You get over there, see Greg Moore's beautiful shots. But yeah, we got some in-hands of Sergio Garcia with the red GT.
Yep. I had a few people ask me about that putter, if it was ever going to come to retail, and I was like, at the moment, it's not. Like, it is Tour only, baby.
For now.
For now.
We'll see. I won't spoil anything. Okay. And number 2 on a Spider GT, a black version with a flow neck. Would you like to guess who changed into that this week?
I'm going to go with that would be Dustin Johnson.
That would be Ricky Fowler.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
I know.
To see him go mallet, because he hasn't gone mallet in a long time.
He's bouncing. He's struggling, and he's bouncing.
You know, and the worst part about it is, like, I just want to see the guy play well. Like, I really do. Like, I'm a fan of his. I think he's a nice guy. I mean,
super nice kid.
Really...
We've both talked to him on a number of occasions. Just really, really nice kid.
I mean, the last time I talked to him was, like, I saw him on the truck, and I don't think he really cared to see me right at that point, but he was still very cordial and very nice. And, yeah, I mean, I wish the guy would, I wish he'd play well. I mean, that is a good putter, though. I do have to say, I got to roll a few with it out of the Kingdom before it came out back in November. And I tell you what, it's got a good feel to it. It's a great putter. I love the look of it. I think they did a really nice job with that aluminum top being all milled. It doesn't look, I thought some of the old Spiders, when they got a little dinged up with some paint, could kind of turn me off from the look. I think this one just looks super high quality, super classy. So, I like the flow neck look. I looked at Sergio's. I just don't. That mallet with the plumber's neck, just not for me. I'm more of a flow neck guy.
The plumber's neck mallet it's not my vibe either.
No.
It definitely just seems like, it's almost hard to put into words, but it seems like a crosshand or claw.
Yeah.
Type putter.
Which is Sergio, basically. I mean, you basically put that
exactly.
One
So, like, it makes sense for him, but to my eye, when I look down at something like that, like, nothing really makes sense. But that's why you fit into different heads, different hosels.
For sure.
Different strokes, different folks, if you will.
Darn right. But I like that. Like I said, I like that putter, though, a lot. I think the shape of it's really good. I like that it's a compact size. It's definitely smaller than a lot of the other Spiders. And it just looks really good. Like I said, definitely a higher quality upgrade with this model. But like I said, I rolled a few at the Kingdom, and it was pretty good.
Well, Knudsen, no interview this week. It was just us. It was just us letting it rip. No pre-production. Just me and my notes and two guys talking golf.
Yep, and unfortunately, I mean, if you loved Caddy Corner, unfortunately, it's going to be put on hold for a little bit. Not because we don't want to.
We're working on an audio situation, so we will update. I won't say any more. We will update you guys when we can get that feature going again.
Because it is cool.
And for now, we have the written portion that will be going up on golfwx.com every week. I will make sure to talk to one caddy per week, and I will transcribe it for your viewing pleasure.
for your eyeballs.
I wish I had someone to transcribe it for me. Transcribing is not my favorite thing to do, but I'm willing to do it for you folks.
Hey, the stories are usually good enough where it's worth it, but it is tough.
So I'll be back out next week at the Honda Classic. I will report back with all my findings. And this was a great week. I know, Knudsen, you're up at the cottages. Have a great weekend. I will be laying low, chilling in between my my escapades out to L.A. and over to Florida. So I'm going to be resting up. And we'll be back next week with two guys talking golf. Thanks for listening.